My whole life, people told me being flexible was a good thing. Dance teachers, PE teachers, yoga teachers. Turns out, for your joints, it might be one of the worst things. And if you're someone who's naturally flexible, this might apply to you more than you think. When I was a teenager, I dislocated both of my knees. Not at the same time, but both at different points. I always thought that was just bad luck. But then my mom, who's also very flexible, was diagnosed with osteoarthritis in both hips. And that's when it stopped feeling random and started feeling like a pattern to me. So I started looking into it. Because the advice we get, especially as women, is overwhelming. Stay flexible, do yoga, lift heavier. But no one really explains what your joints actually need. I used to love yoga. I was always the person who could go deepest into the pose. Teachers would come over, push me further, tell me I was doing great. But looking back, I don't think I was strong in those positions. I think I was just loose. I could get into the position, but I wasn't controlling it. It felt easy, but easy isn't the same as stable. It's the difference between hanging and holding yourself there. In a lot of those poses, my muscles weren't doing much. I was relying on ligaments and joint structures to hold me in place. So just because you can go further doesn't mean you can control it. And that's where problems start. Going further isn't the problem. Going further without control is. Because that's where injuries happen. And injuries are one of the biggest risk factors for joint problems later on. Now, yoga itself isn't bad. It can improve pain and stiffness. But there is a catch that almost nobody talks about. If you are already very flexible, sometimes that overlaps with what clinicians call hypermobility, meaning your joints move more than average. Going deeper into stretches might not be helping you in this case. It might be making you less stable. And here's why that matters. Hypermobility is linked to higher injury risk, especially in the lower body. And injury is one of the strongest predictors of future osteoarthritis. So, being praised for your flexibility your whole life doesn't necessarily mean your joints are healthy. For some people, it might mean the opposite. Then, I found something that made this feel a lot less random. Women are more likely to develop osteoarthritis. In fact, around 60% of people with it are women. And that risk increases as we get older. Women are also more likely to be hypermobile. And we are more often guided toward flexibility-based exercise. And that combination can be a problem. Because if your joints are already more mobile, what they need isn't more range, it's more stability. And this is the idea that changed everything for me. Your joints don't just need movement, they need controlled movement. This is where strength training comes in. And right now there is a big push, especially for women, to lift heavier. I think strength training is incredibly important. But I also think the way it's often presented is too simplistic. The same exercise can either protect your joints or damage them. It depends on how you do it. Most injuries don't come from the exercise itself. They happen when you do too much too quickly, before your body has adapted. So it's not about lifting as heavy as possible. It's about building strength in a way your joints can actually handle. Your joints don't fail because you use them. They fail when you ask them to do more than they're ready for. And this is actually why I've started appreciating Pilates more than I expected. It doesn't push you to the extreme ends of your range. It teaches you where your joints are and how to control them. For me, it feels like a much safer starting point, especially if you are coming back from injury, naturally flexible, or just haven't built strength yet. It's not the only way to train, but it's a very good foundation. My whole life, I thought flexibility was my strength. And maybe it is in some ways. But it also meant I spent years pushing my joints to their limits and calling it exercise, when what they actually needed was to be supported. So now I think about exercise differently. Not as something I push through, but something I build up to. Because avoiding injury matters more than making fast progress. Especially with your joints, small mistakes can stay with you for a long time. If you're trying to exercise in a way that actually makes sense long term, follow me for more of this.